Hey everybody, welcome to Momma Christine's podcast, Living Life Through Experience, where we talk about things that people have experienced, and maybe the way they get through it is the way I can help you. So, including myself, of course, because I've been through a lot in my lifetime. So this is week 13. Lucky 13, right? Nothing wrong with that. We are coming just off the full moon, the full pink moon from last night. So it's a good time about releasing, letting go, getting ready to start something new. You know, it's springtime. As I say, it's always time to plant the seeds, you know, and see what the universe wants to sprout out for you. And of course, what is it you do want? You know, because there's always the things we want, we need, and the things the universe provides. So we're going to talk a little bit about everything, but of course I'm going to start with the cards, and they're going to tell the story as we go along. So let's just get started and see where we're at. Here we go. Chakra clearing. So first and foremost, you need to be in a good space. If you're going to be manifesting new, starting new things, planting the seeds of whatever it is you're trying to acquire, manifest, or intend, you got to be clear. You know, you can't be all junked up with emotional, mental, and physical things going on and not having faith and not trusting, not listening, and think that things are going to happen, because they're not. Okay? So, chakra clearing, that's the first thing we're going to do. You need to work on clearing out your chakras. So how do we do that? Well, on our website, sistersofsolace.net, there is a tab on the left-hand side that says videos and meditations or something. I forget exactly how I worded it. But anyway, you'll find it there. And there's a chakra balancing meditation that I guide you through. And you can use that. Or you can go to YouTube and find something, or Spotify or Apple Music, or wherever you want to go. You could listen to something that's sound and vibration only. You can listen to something that's guided, but do what you need to do to start getting your chakras aligned. Go for a Reiki session. Go for some kind of energy work. That'll definitely help you clear out your chakras and get rid of all the old residual energy that's kind of sticking around, and the old negativity, the old way of thinking, the lower energy, whatever it may be. But again, once we've cleared our chakras, we still have to work on our lives. You know, I was just talking to a client about that today. People come in and see me for a Reiki session, or they come in for a reading, and afterwards they say, oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter, I feel better, I feel, so clear. And I'm like, great, now go out there and live your life differently. Because if you're going to, I'm going to say the best way to describe it is, think of somebody who lives in an abusive relationship. Even, I'm just going to go with verbally abusive, right? That really affects you emotionally and mentally. And then you go and you talk to some good friends, positive people, maybe your counselor, your therapist, and they really get your spirit going and your energy levels up, and you're like, wow, yeah, I got to do more for myself. I need to walk away from this. And, you feel good, and you're feeling better about yourself, and then you leave it and then go back home and go, and you give up. I know that's a whole scenario in itself, but just for that example, you can't feel good all the time if you're going to only come get a healing so you can feel good, only to go back and live the same life. You've got to make change. So whether it's something as dramatic as verbal abuse, or something less dramatic as just holding on to some anger over something that happened God knows when, let it go. Letting go of your sadness, your grief. I know grief, it's a toughie because it kind of never goes away, but it goes away in a sense that you can still live life and still move forward and still have that sense of, wow, I missed that person, and that's okay. You got to work on you. You got to work on you and let go, and you got to heal, and you got to set boundaries and do whatever you need to do for yourself. So again, if we go chakra by chakra, bottom chakra, root chakra, right? The base of the spine. That is your fears, your doubts, and your worries, but it's also your strength and courage. So try to keep your mindset on the strength and courage piece and not on the fears, the doubts, and the worries. If those come in, then turn around and say, I trust and believe that I am living in my strength and my courage, and I am grounded, and I will get through this. Okay? Then you move up to the sacral chakra, the orange one, and that's all your emotions. So maybe your emotions are all negative, or maybe they're all uneasy, unsure, turn those things around and say, you know what, I trust and believe that I am going to get through this with happiness and joy and positivity to the best of my ability, right? Move it up again, solar plexus. That is your personal power space. That is your confidence, your self-esteem. So maybe in this moment, you're not feeling worthy of anything. You're not feeling like you deserve anything. Who am I to think I deserve something like that? Well, who are you? You are somebody. You deserve everything that you work for, right? So why not? So I trust and believe that I am in my personal power and I can achieve anything I want to. Up again to the heart chakra. Maybe you feel like your relationships haven't worked, your friendships haven't worked. Maybe you got family members you don't get along with. Maybe you don't love yourself enough, right? So instead of sitting in that negative feeling all the time, say, I trust and believe that I love myself deeply. I love those around me, and I share my love and compassion with others. Turn it into something positive and keep doing that. Even when you still feel like you don't, keep doing that. Because again, we talked about this last week. Whatever you tell your brain is what it's going to believe. So if you keep telling it those negative things about yourself, that's all you're going to believe. But if something negative comes into your brain, you can then turn around and counteract it by saying something positive and keep repeating that positive to make sure it's stronger than the negative. Now we go up to the throat chakra. Your throat chakra is all about your communication, your speech, your truth, your integrity, how you express yourself, your creativity. So if you find like you're very quiet, very introverted, maybe you allow people to step all over you, maybe you allow people to cross your boundaries and you don't speak up about it, I trust and believe that I speak up and say what needs to be said at all times. I believe in myself. My truth is, and then state whatever your truth is, okay? Going up to the forehead, the third eye, maybe you feel like you never see the signs, you don't get the messages, you don't know what to do, maybe you don't have enough clarity yet. I trust and believe that I can see clearly, intuitively, and physically. And I will see what I need to see at the right moment. And then lastly, of course, the crown chakra. Your crown chakra is your connection to the divine. It's at the top of your head. So if you feel like you don't have any clarity, you feel like you don't have like the thought process, or the mind is just too cluttered with, oh my God, the overthinking and that hamster wheel that I call it, that just spins around and around and around and around from anxiety and stress. I trust and believe that my mind is clear, my connections are strong, and I will get all the messages I need and all the signs that I need. Turn these things around, whatever you need to do. All right, so that's the chakras. The next card, remember who you are. And that is a big deal because, you may be this person who is like right up there, positive, strong, courageous, in your personal power, living your best life. And then you come across somebody, whether it be a spouse, significant other, a friend, and over time, the seesaw starts to shift where you are on the bottom in control of what was in front of you, meaning like the other person on the other side, the other thing on the other side, whatever that may be, that thing or that person is now bringing the weight down, and now you're stuck up in the air with no power. Think about that. Why do we allow other people to overpower us in energy? So we feel like we are less than. We feel as if we did something wrong. We feel like we don't have a say. We feel like we need to make the other person happy, or we need to do what is needed to be done because we don't want to piss off a bunch of other people. On and on it goes, right? And over time, people are like, wow, what happened to you? You used to be like so strong and so extroverted and, all about what makes you happy. And now it just seems you kind of like just go with the flow. You've lost yourself somewhere. You're not the person I remember. Again, remember who you are. It's very easy to be manipulated into being something you're not. People have this way of manipulation, victimization, you name it. I've been there, done that, seen it, heard it, all of it. So don't let that happen to you. If you have your own belief systems and that person does not agree with you, oh well. You do not have to change who you are to make that other person happy. Everybody's in charge of their own happiness. And if that person feels the need to go around and change everybody around them so they can feel better about themselves, let it go. Just let it go. All right. Next, claircognizance. Now, of course, that means paying attention to your thoughts, your ideas, these comments that come out of nowhere in your head. You ever been just sitting there quietly, you're like, oh, I could do that. Like out of nowhere, just quick, boom, boom, and it's in your head. And it's like, wow, I could do that. Or something told me to do that. Or I feel like somebody's telling me I need to do this. You know, however you want to say it. Pay attention to that, okay? Because somebody on the other side, whether it's your angels or your guides or one of your loved ones or God or whoever, it's, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. And it repeats itself until you finally listen. Pay attention to that. Quick ideas that come out of nowhere, thoughts that come out of nowhere. And again, many times it's like somebody today I had, it was like, oh, well, I'm waiting to, know when to move and what's next. And I'm like, you've already heard it. You already know. And they're like, well, I've been thinking about this. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. You flip some cards and it just, hello. It's been there, but we're too afraid to listen. And don't be afraid. Listen to that intuition. Do not let your ego get in the way, because as soon as your people, somebody up there is giving you like, do this, you got to do it. Don't give yourself 2.3 seconds for it to get to the ego, for it to go, are you sure? What if you're wrong? What if you can't do it? What are people going to say? What are people going to think? What if you fail? Oh my God, all those negative things. As soon as you hear negativity, just shut it off and go back to the original thought. The one that told you this is what you need to do. Because again, everything is gifts from God, gifts from the universe, however you want to call it, okay? When something is meant to happen, it just flows right into your space. It flows right into your mind. It pops up right in front of you. It comes out of nowhere. I mean, how many times I've said, oh my God, I really want to do that. And you can feel it, like, and you're not sure how it's going to happen, but you want to do it. And like I said, how is never your job, right? How is not your job. You're just there to receive the messages, receive the signs, and receive the end result. So don't worry about how. And I remember going to New York City and going to a conference over there to listen to all these different authors all weekend long. And it was all on, spiritual, personal progress, self-help, you name it, all that good stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, the hotel, the conference, parking the car for a weekend, my God, that was expensive. Eating, Times Square wasn't too far off. So you go there and you got to buy, you want to buy yourself a little something being in New York City. And it's just like, but it was an amazing weekend. And I remember spending like $700 that weekend. And this was quite a while ago. So, I mean, $700 for like 2 overnights and a conference, at that time it was a bit much. You're talking 15, 20 years ago. And I'm like, whatever, I just felt like I needed to be here, so I'm doing it. And I did it. Only to come home and find out 4 days later that the dentist sent me a check for $900 saying that the insurance company somehow ended up paying for my daughter's teeth, the procedure she had done for her teeth. And I was like, okay, cool. So you know what? There's always a way things work out. So if you feel it and it's there and it's gnawing at you, it's like my book. My second book, the one I'm working on now, actually my third book. It's just one of those things. It's like, I should write another book. And then I start it and I kind of like, okay, sit back a little bit, kind of think about what else I want to write. And next thing you know, people are saying to me, hey, did you start that book? Have you continued working on your book? What's going on? And it's almost like that little push, like, hey, don't sit around too long. You've got things to do, So listen, always listen. And when you listen, that's when you get the gifts. The gifts just show up. Whether it's help or it's time, it's energy, whatever it is, whatever the gift from the universe is, go for it. Grab it and go. Your next card, relationship harmony. So that one, that one's a tough one, because right away our human brains go right to romantic relationships. And it's like, you know what? Relationship harmony goes for any relationship, whether it be a family relationship, a friendship, romantic relationship, a working relationship, whatever, okay? What this means for you is to really look at the different relationships in your life. Because, don't forget it, your life is about you, okay? And yes, we can help other people. And yes, sometimes there are obligations, such as when you become parents, you have children to take care of. As you get older, you may have parents that need your help. But again, you still have to think about yourself in between all of that. What do I want out of my life? I don't think I was brought here to just, go to school and get a job and get married and have children and focus on everybody else but myself. There's got to be something there for you. And again, if you find that something's not working for you, maybe you have that family member that is just like, no way, no way, no way. They're tough. They don't want to help. They don't want to let you take charge of anything. They feel like you're pushing them aside, so they start creating issues with you and saying that you're controlling and you're this and you're that, and it's like, oh my God. Sometimes a good relationship is one where there is a boundary between two people, and sometimes that's how the relationship needs to be. Otherwise, talk it out, figure it out, fix it, change it, or let it go. And that's where the boundaries come in, especially with family. Friends, same thing. Friends come and go. They really do. Some friends, it's rare, but you have friends that you have for almost a lifetime, and then you have other friends that just kind of pop in and out of your life here and there. It's like, oh my God, how you been? I haven't seen you in like 5 years, and that's that type of friendship. Then there's other friendships, you know them for a short amount of time, and then poof, they're gone. They're doing their own thing and you're doing your own thing. But at the same time, always be grateful for all those friendships, because even the short ones will bring you something special, something you need to hear, whatever it may be. For example, just here at Sisters, we met this great guy, Josh, years ago. And because of him, we did a lot of huge fairs, brought a lot of awareness to what we do here, as well as the other people who joined us, of course. But Josh had his own place and then had to close down for personal reasons. But he had people renting out of his space. Well, now because of Josh connecting with us and his people connecting with us, now all his people are here. So there's a reason for everything. Maybe Josh's job was to bring us all together, and that's what happened. And for that, I'm grateful. Do I still talk to Josh? Sure. Like every so often I get a text from him, or I shoot him a text, whatnot. I still consider him my friend, even though we don't talk as much as we used to. So every friendship, every connection is different. But just be mindful of that. There's a difference between people who take advantage of you and people who are there to uplift you and work with you and collaborate with you and make things happen that are good. There really is. Personal relationships, such as romantic ones, again, relationships are supposed to be 100. You each give 100% to your relationship. And if you find that there's a disagreement, then talk about it. If you find that, I really don't think this person's for me, that's okay. I feel bad. Well, good. You're going to feel miserable so you can make that person happy. But in all reality, you're lying to that person by telling them how much you love them when you really don't. So who's fooling who? You know what I mean? It's unfortunate sometimes those things happen. You don't know what you're going to think about a person until you really spend time with a person. So sometimes you could spend 6 months to a year with a person thinking, well, maybe this is a good one, only to find out, oh yeah, not really, And if that's the case, it's okay. I'm sorry, I just don't find that this is going anywhere for me. This is different than what I'm looking for in a relationship. So let's see. Give me 1 second here. Oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. Okay. What is it? Work relationships. Work relationships are tough because you cannot pick and choose who your boss is or who your coworkers are. But you can pick and choose what you're willing to tolerate. Of course, if the boss tells you this is your job, this is what I want you to do, you do it. If you don't like the job, then guess what? Maybe you better quit and find something else that's better for you. Let's see what else. But I mean, coworkers, I mean, do your best to just kind of work with them to the best of your ability. Have some boundaries with them. Don't put up with any stuff that you don't like. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You don't live with this person. You just have to work with them. It's 8 hours a day. And then overcoming difficulties. That's what happens when we work on ourselves. When you work on yourself and you work internally, you work emotionally, mentally, physically, all of those things, that's when you can find how things have shifted for you. And hold on, I'm sorry. Oh my God, this is crazy. Okay. Sorry to put you on hold there for a second. I had to check that. That was important. But you know, overcoming those difficulties is something you get to as you work on yourself. Learning to fix it, change it, let it go. Learning to set boundaries, learning to listen, learning to feel what's in your heart, speaking up for what you want, what you believe in, what your dreams are, what your goals are, and being okay with that and not worrying about what everybody else thinks or what they're going to say. Because again, and I've said this a million times, what everybody else thinks of you is none of your business. So just be mindful of that. So as we finish up, this is where I'm going to take you. That's what comes next. Oops, sorry. little pushy there. New beginnings. When you work on you and get yourself in a good place, that's when new beginnings happen. You start to see things differently. You start receiving different things. Gratitude becomes stronger. This happens, that happens, and everything starts to work. It really does. So do your homework, do some self-work, do some self-love, do whatever you need to do for yourself, but do it so things can be better. All right, guys, it's a short one this week, but I'm going to leave you with that. Work on that, and I'll see you next week. Have a great one.